Hello and welcome to the RYLACast, the official podcast of Camp RYLA, Rotary District 5810. My name is Greg Tepper. My co-host for the evening, he's a man of class, a man of dignity, and a man with a microphone in his office, be in front of a Taj Boyd jersey. We're joined by Andrew Josey.
Well, thank you, Greg. Hello.
Hi.
Happy to be here. Thank
Are
you.
Are you impressed that I pulled Taj Boyd out of my as a non-Clemson fan?
I am very impressed, actually, because a lot of people look at that jersey and think, is that supposed to say Deshaun Watson? I'm like, no,
no, it's Taj Boyd.
That's supposed to say Taj Boyd.
That's old school. This is the RYLAcast, the official podcast of Camp RYLA, Rotary District 5810. We do thank you for spending a little bit of your evening with evening. We're recording it in the evening. That's why I said evening. We are guestless today. Yeah, I know. We decided to roll guestless. We figured that everybody would just want a snoot full of us more, which is not true, but perhaps. But I did want to bring this up to you because you mentioned to me in confidence before we started recording that
yes,
you had double stacked RYLA meetings, that you are getting off of a RYLA meeting now going into the RYLAcast. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
And you were doing high level executive stuff there. I'm not gonna ask you to break what I presume is disclosure concerns. I don't want you to do that. But my question for you is, because you mentioned again in confidence to me that you were okay double stacking it because you could have like a RYLA week and then like a non-RYLA week. You could have like a little break from having meetings. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, that's what I told you in confidence. Yes.
So my question for you is, when you were in college, did you ever try to get like weird with your scheduling and try to make it so like you could have like a day off or something?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I was never able to get like a day off, but I finally got weird like my junior or senior year where like you're starting at 9 or whatever and done by 1:30 or 2, at least 1 or 2 days a week.
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah, I always tried to do I always tried to do something weird, especially at the beginning, where I would be like, what if I just made it so there was a semester I tried to make it where all my classes were done by like noon. So just like I would go from like 8 to noon straight, right? Every day.
Okay.
And then there were other times where I would be like, I'm only going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know what I mean? Like I'm just going to do, I'm going to get, 2 days off of a day or a week rather. I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or I would have it where it was like, oh, I'm going to try to get it so that I don't have any classes on Friday. I am here to tell you that doesn't work. That it just, it's my experience with it was that it was a lot of effort to make really your life a little bit more miserable.
Well, yeah. And like, I don't know about you, it helped me to be routine based. So if I had an afternoon that I didn't have any classes scheduled, I went into panic mode because it felt like a time that I should be in class.
Yes, that is absolutely true. There was also that where like you would wake up and have like the panic on Friday and be like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And that was not worth it for me. So for all you kids in college who are thinking about that, just play it straight. Just put together a nice, even balanced schedule. I promise you, it's going to be it's better in the end. I've paid the price for it. I tried to get cute on a number of semester schedules.
And spoiler alert. So I double stacked this week to, in theory, free up next week. What I did was just free up next week for potentially more RYLA meetings. So that's how that works out. If you in college are wondering, oh, I can't wait till after college then to try to do this, free up my schedule. No, you just things take up your time.
Yes,
forever.
Just don't get cute. I promise, it's just not worth it. This is the RYLACast, the official podcast, Camp RYLA, Rotary District 5810. We do thank you for spending a little bit of your day with us. I've got the big segment today, and Josey, I want to ask you if you are from. I'm gonna tell you a name, and I'm gonna ask you if you know who this person is. And if you don't, I want you to answer confidently and just like make up a entirely fictional backstory for him. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Josey, do you know who Bruce Tuckman is?
Oh my gosh, Bruce Tuckman.
Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce. Bruce is the guy who invented those like the alcohol soaked pads for acne.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly.
Did you ever use those? Tuckman pads, I think is what they call them.
Yeah, I definitely used those at a time in my life. No, in fact, Bruce, that's a great guess. And that's how it's going to.
Is it though?
Yeah, what I would like to do, I would like that to be a recurring theme on this podcast is like, if we don't know something, we just like make a guess at it, like aggressively and confidently make a guess at it. And so let me tell you about Bruce Tuckman. Bruce Tuckman, because I was doing some reading this week. He's died in 2016 at the age of 77. So he lived a long life. But Bruce Tuckman was a psychological researcher, and he worked at Princeton and worked in a number of different places. And I'd never heard of this before. There's something called Tuckman's stages of group development. Stages of group development, and there's definitely people who've been through like corporate leadership training or things like that are like nodding their head, be like, oh yeah, I did a seminar on this or something. I found this to be particularly interesting because the more I read about it, the more it all just like alarm bells started going off in my brain about how relevant it is to our program. So this is the Tuckman's. It's also known as Tuckman's Ladder. Okay. Or the Tuckman Ladder, whatever you want to call it, TUCKMAN. And what it aims to do is it is a model of group development wherein it kind of charts the stages that groups go in as they work as a team. Okay. And I think that it's important to know where you are on this journey whenever you're in some sort of leadership role or in just a team building role, where you are. But then the thing that struck me was that as I was reading through this, I was saying, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we go through in not only in my kind of career and working with teams, but also like with camp. This is going to be people who are just like screaming at the podcast vendor saying, what in the heck? So there's a life cycle. Okay. We're talking about the life cycle of a team. There's 5 stages. Okay. The first stage and I'll just read them all. And then it's going to like, I'll kind of go through it. There's a bit to it that doesn't quite work for me, but you'll catch on to it. It's forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. We almost got there.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. It'd be a popular "What are you doing?" Wheel of Fortune puzzle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. What are you doing? Yeah. It's like it kind of rhymes. It's kind of like I'd rather somebody do this where it doesn't quite rhyme than like, for example, rhyming a word with the same word. That drives me nuts in music. Like if you rhyme that with that, we're just not friends. Anyway. Okay. Step 1 is forming. Okay. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Okay. Team members becoming acquainted with one another and learning about their roles in the groups and their individual tasks. Everything is uncertain. There's uncertainty, nervousness, curiosity, and enthusiasm. Okay, you're nodding.
Okay, nodding, ringing some bells. Yeah.
Number 2, and this is when, if you're doing it on a chart, it kind of dips a little bit. Number 2 is storming. Team members are beginning to know one another better and are starting to have conflicts. This is a normal part of group work, as everyone has different ideas about goals and processes. This includes frustration, conflict, and competition.
Also known as round robin day. Okay, yes.
Okay, we're getting there. Number 3, norming. This one kind of, I don't know. Team members begin to understand and accept one another's differences. Conflict becomes healthy. Everyone starts working together towards common goals, cooperation, supportiveness, and problem solving.
Okay, I'm locking in. Yeah.
And then 4, performing. Trust is high, conflict is minimal, communication is open, and everyone has started working toward his or her specific task. It's a good time for brainstorming new ideas. Now that everything is running smoothly, this is when you find creativity, innovation, and delivery. Okay. And finally, number 5, adjourning. Again, we needed to workshop the last part. We kind of petered out toward the end. This is when team members begin to focus on their own goals rather than the team goals. They start thinking about how working with a particular group helped them develop certain skills, reflection, accomplishment, and disbanding. Josey, somebody wrote a book about camp in the 60s.
That is oddly specific.
Oh my gosh. I kept reading on. I was like, whoa, this is like, how did you do this? But I do think that does feel like a normal life cycle of a group. With types of things where there's a feeling out process, and then after we get done feeling out like the group, then we're like, oh, I don't know if I like everything about this group, and I think there's going to be some problems. You solve the problems, you kind of get to peak efficiency, and then you break up and you say, what did we learn here? If that's not exactly what camp is, I'm not real sure what you're looking for. But that was a shocking thing. And I also think, I don't know, for me, as reading this as somebody who works in management and works with teams a lot, I do think it's important to understand where you are in the life cycle of your team, that if you are in a down spot, it's okay. Maybe you're just in the step 2 process of that life cycle. That doesn't necessarily mean that things aren't working well. They may be working exactly as they should be. But it's important. I think it's important to be cognizant and aware of where you are or should be in the life cycle there on Tuckman's ladder, so to speak, the Tuckman Ladder. Anyway, I read that and just shot back in my chair.
Yeah, rightfully so. No, that's incredible. I did do a quick Google search, Bruce Tuckman Rotary.
Oh, yeah.
But haven't been able to really find a tie-in there. Maybe that says more about me than anybody else, that, maybe in the 60s, we were trying to develop Camp RYLA as it started in 1991. But anyway, I digress. That is fascinating, the stages of group development.
It's almost like we've kind of plotted this thing out and everything happens kind of for a reason. But anyway, there you have it. Tuckman Ladder, if the Tuckman Ladder model, or it's Tuckman developmental sequence in small groups is another thing you can read up, or Tuckman stages of group development. I found that to be particularly interesting this week. So as we mentioned, no guests this week. So this is the part where we're on Zoom so we can see one another. Josey and I are going to have a dance break right now. We're both dancing.
Ooh.
Josey, those are fantastic moves. I wish everybody could see this.
Right back at you.
Man, where this is
no music.
Did you do the splits? That's incredible.
I'm not as incredible as you spinning on your head. That was a real nice breakdancing move.
There's your dance break here on the RYLACast. And now, here to close us out is my friend, your friend, America's friend, Andrew Josey Epps.
Well, thank you, Greg. America's friend. That's a tall task to live up to. So since we're rolling guest list this week, I thought I'd throw a little curveball at you. And it plays. Does that have
anything to do with the fact that I'm watching the Rangers right now?
Not the Rangers, okay. but maybe baseball.
Okay.
And it ties well if we're going on the theme of how can we prepare as we best prepare and have our themes tie in to each other. I think this, you spoke of a team, small group development, and I'm going to speak to you about a man named Cornelius McGillicuddy. Does that name?
Nope. Yeah, Cornelius McGillicuddy he was my sophomore year roommate at Missouri. He was an Irishman, and he claimed to own a leprechaun. I never saw it, but old Corny, he was a good dude.
Old Corny. Well, maybe your roommate, Corny, was related to Connie Mack, Baseball Hall of Fame Philadelphia Athletics manager. And for those of you wondering how I came to this man, I Googled famous Rotarians because, after all, we are the official podcast of Rotary District 5810. And Connie Mack was a catcher in 1886. Played for about 10 years before he started his managerial stint. And for those of you listening, you'll just have to play along with my little game here. Greg, do you know how long Cornelius McGillicuddy managed the Philadelphia Athletics?
Forever. I do know this.
Forever. Yes.
I'm a baseball nut. He was like the manager for I'm not exaggerating, 40 years.
50.
Okay, yeah. That is his claim to fame is that he just managed forever and was also very good at it, to be clear. I'm not, not gonna, but yes, that was yes.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't oh, he's just the manager, or he's cheap, we're not really going to pay anybody else. No, he managed teams to 5 World Series wins, double digit appearances, pennants, and his success, from what I can tell, was basically every time that they tore down the team for whatever reason, be it contract talks, whatever, he just built a better team as manager of the Philadelphia Athletics. And he just was very honest and frank with his team. He wasn't a big, yeller. And I thought some of his leadership styles, whenever somebody is in a leadership position for that long, it turns some heads. And I think for this was a good reason, just in terms of he was always adapting to how to get his team. And so another fun fact. So Cornelius McGillicuddy started baseball in 1886.
You've got it. You keep calling this is one of the most famous managers in baseball history, and you keep calling him Cornelius McGillicuddy, which is his Christian name, but
it's Connie Mack, but
yeah.
Come on, man. You gave up Cornelius McGillicuddy for Connie Mack. He's probably in the witness protection program or something.
I see that.
So in 2017 was the first year without either Connie Mack or Vin Scully as part of Major League Baseball. The year that Connie Mack stopped managing was in 1950, was Vin Scully's first year on the call for the Dodgers. So we had over 100-year stretch with those folks involved in baseball, and a Rotarian to boot.
Yeah.
So
how about that? Because I think that you talk about a guy who's in the same position, like the same office for 50 years, right? And
right.
running, let's be real, he's working with athletes, so they've got egos and they're competitive, right? I think that the only way you can do that is you have to be able to adapt. Obviously, you have your principles and you have your non-negotiables, but right. You have to be able to adapt to situations, because otherwise you're going to get run out of the barn, and people are going to be oh well, word will get out that you don't want to play for Connie Mack, basically. And I don't know. That's a remarkable. I honestly did not know his name was Cornelius McGillicuddy. That's incredible. But I do know, his claim to fame is I know he managed legitimately 7,000 games or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Would you be interested in Connie Mack's code of conduct that he created following the 1916 season in
Oh.
his strive to have his players become better people
Mhm.
as well as baseball players?
I'm gonna guess that like there's minimum there's one old timey rule, like no
Okay.
moonshine or something.
Let's get into it.
Okay,
So I will always play the game to the best of my ability. Seems pretty
love
standard.
that, love that.
Um, I will always play to win, but if I lose, I will not look for an excuse to detract from my opponent's victory.
I like that. You're not
Yeah,
trying to
respect your
you're not trying to
opponent.
make excuses. You're just gonna give credit where credit's due. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I will never take an unfair advantage in order to win. So don't cheat.
Yep.
I will always abide. This might be the old timey. I will always abide by the rules of the game on the diamond as well as in my daily life.
I mean that just means like you're not gonna cheat and you're not gonna commit crimes and stuff like that. Like, it's a code of honor. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not as specific as I was hoping. I was hoping it was going to be something like, you won't be like a bootlegger.
Yeah, we're not going to get the closest we'll get is I will do my utmost to keep myself clean physically, mentally, and morally.
Oh yeah. Moral cleanliness was a big player in the early 1900s.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so the rest there are all variations on a theme.
Okay.
Other way, don't cheat, don't gloat in victory or pity myself in defeat.
How did he feel
But yeah,
about bat flips?
it doesn't say here, but Mac told his players to do what he thought best. So,
And if you hit like a World Series winning home run, I think you need to launch the bat into the stands and moonwalk around the bases.
It feels like pro bat flip.
Yeah, it does feel. I agree. I think that we can read between the lines here, and I think he's pro bat flipping. That would be cool. That'd be cool. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Connie Mack.
Connie Mack. Lessons from the one of the probably got to be the longest tenured baseball manager, and maybe manager of any sport, right?
Yeah, I think he'd be,
at least in America.
Tom Landry is probably the only one who would rival, right? Because like 60 to 88, but even then, that's only like whatever 28.
Think about that. That's like half as long.
Yeah, that is insane to think about in that context. 50, yeah.
50 years in the same job and managing baseball. That's pretty wild. That's a lot of wearing baseball pants.
Anyway. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Josey, thanks for that. Thanks for that lesson from a manager who managed 7,000 plus games. And yeah, that is going to do it for this here episode of the RYLACast. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. We hope that you will rate, comment, and subscribe to this podcast. Go to our website, RYLA5810.org. There's all sorts of good stuff there. And yeah, here with an antiquated way of telling people about the RYLACast is Josey. And if this doesn't involve Connie Mack or something Connie Mack adjacent, I'm going to be real mad.
Yeah, I know. I've got my work cut out for me here. So antiquated way, Rotary, Rotary dates back. Rotary was around in the early 1900s as Connie Mack was a Rotarian. And so an antiquated way of telling someone to listen to the RYLACast is to create a silent movie with you and cue cards, and I want you to dress up in your favorite athleisure equipment of choice, and put up cue cards that say listen to the RYLACast, and make sure it's on a loop because in today's day and age every video has sound, so you might miss a couple people and they look up to see if something's skipping or not buffering appropriately, but you'll get them.
Yeah, it does the thing where it's like
that silent movie.
Yeah, like you're talking and like you talk for like 10 seconds and it's just like there's no sound. There's like piano music over the top of it. And then like a full screen like black slate comes on. It's like listen to the RYLACast.
Yes. Make sure you loop that.
Oh, we need to create that. Like that's easily, we can do that. Like you and I, we just need to find some old timey clothes, and we know video editors. We can make this happen.
That is true. Yes. True.
Okay, the video editors in our life we're going to be calling. Thanks for listening to the RYLACast. Josey, thanks for your courage.
Thanks, Greg.
Talk to you next time on the RYLACast.